Skin tones are definitely a subject that we all wish we knew more about, and so as a content creator it is of course my lot in life to tell you all about it. But therein lies the problem. I know nothing about them, but I do know how to know about them. So let's talk about that instead. In this clip here from a stream a while back, you'll see me shadowing a skin tone with a dark green. And then on the other side of the face, I'm countering that using a more traditional Caucasian skin tone shadow. But what am I actually trying to achieve here? For what's about to happen here, I want to first take a look at my face. I know, I'm sorry. So here we are in Photoshop now, and you can see that I've taken a picture of my face, which is lit from one side and relatively shadowy in the other, to try and replicate what I was going for on the Jon Snow bust. But in order to make it represent the miniature just a little bit more, I'll do what we always tell ourselves to do whenever we paint miniatures, and I'll maximise the contrast. I'll also dive the brightness down a little bit just to make up for the fact that I tend to prefer to paint a bit darker, and so I want my photo to roughly match that for while I'm illustrating this. Now, by using Photoshop's handy colour picker feature, we can see that the skin tones on the light side of my face are pretty much what we would expect to represent Caucasian skin tones in painting. There's really no surprises there. However, when we go into the darker side of my face, we start to see these red browns represented, and these aren't really what we normally think of as Caucasian skin tones. So to see what's happening here, the easiest way I find to illustrate it is if we look at the CMYK index of the colours. So let's zoom in on that. You'll notice that as I'm switching between the light and dark colours, the magenta and the yellow are only bumping up a fairly small amount, but we're seeing a huge increase in the cyan. But hang on a minute, cyan isn't dark green, how is there even a connection here? So to understand this, we have to first understand the difference between pure digital colours as represented on the screen and in images that we view, and the actual paints that we paint our miniatures with. As you can see here, a cyan coloured paint, because it has such a strong white base, pulls us into a more kind of blue-grey skin tone realm as we mix it into a reddish skin tone. Whereas the addition of a green takes us far more towards the browns that we're hoping for. And that's not to say that that desaturated, pale tone that the cyan gives is never desirable, it's just not what we're going for on this particular occasion. So you might be wondering at this point why we don't just use brown in the first place. Remember back to this Blood Bowl ogre that I painted for the channel as a representation on my methodology for darker skin tones. And you can see that whilst we'll get the brown colours that we desire, the finish is going to end up really quite rich, and that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for desaturation in the shadows. So as I continue to work on this now, you can see that I'm just adding traditional Caucasian skin tones over the top, but I'm using very thin paint, I'm working transparently, and I'm allowing those colours to build up and for the green to influence what's going on top. And by allowing this green to have its influence, not only do we get the colour that we're trying to achieve, but we also get more of a sense of drama because we can leave some pure green here and there for this really sort of off-key looking deep shadow. So the next logical question that you're probably going to ask at this point is, well, how do I replicate this? And the disappointing but inevitable answer is, unfortunately, research. I kind of foreshadowed this earlier in the video when I got that swatch out. But swatching is actually how I taught myself to do this. By conducting a series of practical experiments, I can build a mental library of what colour combinations produce what outputs. And hell, if I wanted to, I could save these swatches somewhere. I could make a physical library of them, and then I'd have something to reference back to. You could even label the colours that are present in the swatches to be able to 100% replicate these results every time. And the reason we have to do this is just because there's so much variance between paints, brand to brand, colour to colour. There are even examples where you can have two paints that are a perfect colour match to each other, but will behave completely different in their interactions with other paints. Because at the end of the day, it's not always about a cheap method or a quick fix solution. Sometimes the answer to the problems that we face as painters is research, hard work, and putting in time. But you can see from these finished photos that research can really pay off. Being able to create something dramatic that stands out and has identity as a result of just putting in a little bit of time is actually incredibly rewarding. And so really that's what I wanted to communicate here, is that it's not necessarily about a trick, but more about having a solid method in your head for being able to learn these things for yourself. quite often some of the best learning that we do is off of our own backs, because finding our own method of learning is the secret to helping that information go in and stay absorbed. So try swatches, I really do recommend them. And if you had any ideas as a result of this for schemes that you want to swatch out, let me know what you're going to go for, because I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So until next time, folks, I'd like to invite you to like, share and subscribe as always, and please do check out the links in the description of the video if you want to support the content that we're making here. As always, I want to wish you happy hobbying, and thank you for watching, folks. I will see you in the next one, so bye bye for now.